Welcome to In Biz Together, the podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs across all industries. I'm Michelle Lestas, business owner, coach and author of In Business with Yourself. It's great to have you listening in. Today I'm speaking with Noeleen Farnan, Managing Director of Business Primis Limited. Noeleen has over 20 years' experience in HR and employment law in both the private and public sector. Given the immense changes we are all having to face in business at the moment, this is an important time to be investing in our employees. As you know from my book and much of my work, the Progressor is one of the key business identities I focus on. Like Noeleen, these are business leaders that progress into business from an established career in their industry. So Noeleen, you are very welcome.
Thank you, Michelle.
So Noeleen, over 20 years working for others in HR and employment law, what was the motivator behind you coming out into business for yourself? Was it not hard to leave a steady job and steady income?
Not really, because I had worked in HR manager for many years. I then worked for Peninsula as an advisor and obviously an employee, steady income. And then I was approached by another employment law company in Belfast to come on with them. So I had been working for them for about 6 years, but I was based in the Northwest. The office was obviously Belfast. You're dealing with clients. I was bringing in my clients, my employers, dealing solely with them, very independent and very much left to my own devices. So other than the fact that I was taking a salary, I suppose I wasn't really getting any of the benefit of having my own business. And as we grew, it just was a natural progression that we decided that I decided, all very amicable, that we would, it was either take a directorship in that company or start out on my own. So I started out on my own. So it was quite a natural progression.
That's very interesting. And so, yes, very typically sort of moving out of that sort of umbrella, I suppose. We have a little bit of comfort under the umbrella of being employed and out into your own. So what were the big challenges for you? I mean, you obviously had a good knowledge of your industry. So what would you say when you moved out into your own business were the big challenges for you?
Well, there is a risk, because when you do go out, then you have to build up clients. And obviously you're starting out from scratch. Now, from my point of view, I was lucky in that I had worked with clients. Even I had brought a lot of them with me, even from Peninsula over into the previous company. And then from that company, I was free to take anybody that I had brought into that company. We just put it to the clients, because obviously, you know, a client works with somebody and that's not going to work if you try and hold them. So naturally, I took the clients that I had been working with. So there was a foundation there. And then for me, growing the business, because I'm very much employment law, HR, that's my area of expertise. Am I a salesperson? Definitely not. So my business has really only grown through recommendations and client referrals. And I suppose from that side of it, that is a challenge. Because I'm not a natural salesperson. And as you can imagine, the hardest thing in the world is probably to sell yourself. So I do struggle from that point of view. But it does mean that the business has grown slowly and steadily. And I have a really good relationship with my clients, which I'm very proud of.
Very interesting again. I mean, you know, you say you're not a natural salesperson, but yet you're in an industry where, as you say, relationships are hugely important. So you can't be that bad at it. You've built your business and it's going now, what, over 3.5 years or thereabouts?
Uh-huh.
And what about, Noeleen, you talk about risk a little bit. So I'm quite interested in that in terms of your sort of approach to risk. Say you're not overly a risky person, but going out on your own is a risk. And did you feel that at the time? Did it feel quite lonely, or did you feel that it was something that you really wanted to move forward with?
Not overly, because I'd worked so independently from the office. I have been like this for a long time, working this way. Now, the only thing I would say with employment law, it moves so fast. It's based on judgments. For example, I'm sure nobody can escape the Supreme Court ruling on Uber, that has been all over the news since Friday. So a lot of employment law is case law driven. So the risk for me is not keeping up with that, and constantly learning, and my own CPD is really, really important. That can be lonely sometimes, but I went back 3 years ago and did a postgraduate in Northern Ireland employment law at the University of Ulster. And I've actually, a lot of contacts from that course, and we're all in the same industry. So sometimes we'll bounce ideas off each other, and that's brilliant to have that resource. You do need that.
Totally. And I mean, those sorts of networks are precious, really, aren't they? And I mean, being able to sound off your ideas and support each other. So here you are 3.5 years on. Where do you see the challenges today? Are they the same as when you started out, or do you think they're different now?
I think they're different. I think from even take 5 years ago, the smartphone, everybody has access to employment law, to advice. People are more aware of their employment rights. There is more, I feel, there's more of a litigation culture out there. And I think the challenges for employers are greater than they ever have been. Social media, as I've mentioned in last week, is a big challenge for employers as well, because there's a very much smudged line between employment now and the work-life balance, and where it all ends because of the social media context, and now because of COVID, people working from home as well.
Yes, it's bound to be being compounded with COVID. I mean, for your clients, that's bound to be a big issue at the minute. Employees working at home. Are there other issues that small businesses are needing to address because of COVID at this time?
Very much so. Furlough has been fantastic. Without a doubt, it has secured jobs, it's avoided mass redundancies, it's been brilliant. But from an employer point of view, it has been such a challenge, because what you get for small employers at the minute is that employees that are in working feel frustrated, and sometimes because they want to be at home, they want to be getting 80%, they don't want to have to worry about childcare, they want to be at home with their family where they feel safe, etc. And then the employees that are at home feel disengaged, who are on furlough, worried about their job. And then, some, for example, hospitality, where there was, we're open, we're closed, we're open, we're closed, trying to get people off furlough and back into the workplace has been a real struggle for a lot of employers. So the last year in terms of employment law has been pretty horrendous for employers.
And we're going to see more of that now as we unlock, because we're really going to go through another stage. We've sort of had this last year of the locking process, but as we begin to unlock and come out into really a different type of way of doing things, we're going to have even different challenges again.
Absolutely. And you can see that already. There was a ruling there over the weekend as well on an employee who wouldn't wear a face mask in the workplace. It's the first that I've seen coming through the tribunals where it was ruled that it was a fair dismissal because the employee had refused to wear the face mask. There's a lot of challenges there from a health and safety point of view for employers as well. And obviously the PPE, it's just, and I know this has been said time and time again over the last 12 months, but these really are the most unprecedented times. And never have I felt such a respect for the law, in that in normal circumstances, you can fall back in the law and say, right, okay, so this is what the law says, so how do we navigate that, or how do we respond? In this, because this was completely unprecedented, the law has been written as we've went along, and we've seen the challenges that has presented with the changes to the furlough rules, etc. So really, really challenging.
I mean, it's marvelous that we have people like you, Noeleen, to help us to really, I suppose, move around that quagmire. So where do you see the business going now? What's next for Noeleen Farnan?
I need to. Anybody that looks up Business Primis will find that I'm pretty hard to find on the internet. I think I have a website. I'm not entirely sure if it's up and running. So in terms of trying to get the likes of the digital side of things up and running for myself, and possibly look at growing the business and taking that leap to actually recruit possibly another advisor. And as I'd said to you before, Michelle, I do struggle with that because I have such a good relationship with my clients. And I know it's a wee bit about letting go of that control. Because with employment law and with employee relations, you need to have the experience. You need to have been round, I suppose, and dealt with issues in the past and to have that experience as to how you approach different aspects of issues as and when they arise. So it's having that leap of faith that somebody else would have a similar type approach to me. I'm very proud of the fact that I have only ever been in tribunal once, and I'd like to keep that track record for my clients. It's not that I'm risk adverse, it's just that I have I suppose I feel that I have a very practical and a respect for the law, but a practical approach for clients. And listen to what they need.
And it's that sort of service industry too, where your clients really begin to have the relationship with you. As you said at the beginning, it's about those relationships. So I suppose it's also the training that you need to do with new members in the team and developing those relationships. Noeleen, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. We're sort of running out of time, but it's been great to get the insight, and it's just fantastic to see people like you in business and 3.5 years down the line and still so energetic and enthusiastic and just fantastic. So, Noeleen, thank you very much for joining me today.
Lovely. Thank you very much for asking me, Michelle. Thank you.
If you want to know more about making your business grow or which identity you are, In Business with Yourself is available at www.orphanpress.com or on Amazon Books or at any Waterstones bookstore. You can also contact me directly at www.michellelestas.com. I'm Michelle Lestas. Thank you for listening in. Until the next time.